Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, we'll be discussing what receipts mean, we'll be understanding the format of receipt and we'll be going through certain illustration of it. Let's go ahead and discuss more about receipts first. So, receipts basically means the kind of acknowledgement that you receive for any kind of service that you have given or you have received, or any kind of acknowledgement when it refers to the cash you have received for the products or probably the goods sold. So, we have mentioned down certain points here. Let's go ahead and understand each of it in detail. So as mentioned here, it is the kind of acknowledgement that a person has received certain money as a part of purchase or sale, or the property as a part of purchase or sale, or any kind of goods or services being rendered therefore. So when we talk about this specific example or this specific transaction, we need to discuss about more on this. So when we talk about this specific transaction or this specific definition, receipts are nothing. It is just an acknowledgement. Let's take an example. You have made a payment of rupees 10,000, or let's take the very basic example here. You have withdrawn certain amount from an ATM. You receive an ATM withdrawal slip. That slip is the receipt that you have received this much of amount and that the account balance is this much. That specific withdrawal slip that you receive is ideally a receipt of the transaction that you have made of withdrawing the amount from an ATM or from your bank account. Hence, when you talk about receipt, it is an acknowledgement of completion of the transaction or an incompletion of the transaction in case if it is declined when it comes to ATM withdrawals. So whatever acknowledgement that you receive is a source document completing or initiating or probably ensuring that the transaction has been completed. Let's understand few more details on this part. It can be either in paper form, whereby it is manually written down and given to you, or probably it's an electronic form, whereby you can take the example of ATM withdrawal slip, or probably the slip that you receive after making all the transactions or after purchasing certain goods from the store market. That's the receipt in an electronic form. It also includes the date and the description of the specific items that the purchaser has bought or purchased. So when you talk about receipt, it is actually equivalent to a cash memo. However, it is a different form. It is just in a form of paper format or in electronic format. Now, let's understand how the format is prepared for your reference. Now, there are few details that you have to update here. Hence, the first item will be name of the seller. That means who is the seller who is selling out these goods and is providing the receipt. So, this will be on the top left hand side. Below that will be the date of the transaction or the date when the receipt was generated. And hence, we'll be mentioning this as sales receipt or any kind of receipts. Now, to give you an information about receipt is not just sales receipt. It may be an acknowledgement receipt, it may be a payment receipt, it may be an account transferable receipt, any receipt. It may be a withdrawal receipt as well. Hence, there are different kind of receipts that you can talk about. And hence, when we're talking about details about this thing, this is the kind of format that will be common for each and every kind of receipt. It's just that the name will be changed. If it is a salary receipt, salary pay-in slip. If it is a withdrawal receipt, withdrawal receipt. If it is a payment receipt, payment receipt. Hence, the name will change, the format will remain the same. Let's go ahead and figure out how many columns are there. Three basic columns mentioned here: quantity, description, and amount. Quantity refers to what is the quantity of goods that is being sold out, what is the description or that specification of that specific good which is being sold out, and the amount of that specific good. Here there will be total, subtotal, and GST or probably taxes included in that. So subtotal will be the gross total, and including or probably once you include taxes in it, that will be the net total as mentioned here. Now, the last part will contain paid with. That means how the payment has been done. Either it has been done in cash, either it has been done using credit or debit card, either it has been done using a bank transfer, or either it has been done using any kind of other checks. So these are the four kind of payments that you can mention down on any receipt. Now let's prepare an illustration which will give you more clarity on this part. So the illustration has been mentioned. The details given are about Mr. A, who has bought certain goods from a stationery store and has to receive a receipt regarding all the transactions done. We'll go ahead with transaction one by one and we'll figure out which are supposed to be included in there. The first transaction refers to 10 boxes of pencil for rupees 100. That means total of 10 boxes of pencil costed him for rupees 100. Second transaction refers to 20 cartons of stapler pens taken for rupees 1000. Third transaction refers to 5 boxes of crayons for rupees 500. Fourth transaction refers to 6 bundles of workbook for rupees 1200. Fifth transaction refers to 7 packets of ink bottle for rupees 700. Additional information states GST charged at 10% and the last information states paid via cash. Now you have to prepare the specific receipt details for this specific illustration. Let's go ahead and prepare the format first and then we'll jot down all those details as mentioned in the question. So now that we have prepared the format, we'll jot down the first transaction which has been mentioned as 10 boxes of pencil at rupees 100. Hence that first transaction has been mentioned. If you can see, there is a stationery store shop that has been mentioned in the top left, under which there has been a date mentioned, that means 5th of April 2018, and on the right hand side we have mentioned as sales receipt. 3 columns have been done: quantity, description and amount, and underneath we'll have payment which is made by either cash or bank transfer or check or debit and credit card. Either of it will be mentioned down here, which will also include subtotal of either the subtotal, taxes and net total amount. That means gross total, taxes and net total, which also be a part of it, but after recording all those transactions. Let's record the second transaction for your reference. The second transaction refers to 20 cartons of stapler pins for 1000. Now let's record the third transaction. Third transaction refers to 5 crayon boxes of 500. The total amounting rupees 500 has been mentioned in the amount column. Let's record the next transaction. Next transaction refers to 6 workbook bundles which has been totaling, or the total amount is amounting to rupees 1200, that has been recorded. Now let's record the next transaction. The last transaction refers to 7 in bottle packets of rupees 700 total. So with this we have completed all the transactions which are referred to the question. Now we'll go ahead and make the total of it. So 3500 is a subtotal, that means the gross total here. We'll further record GST at the rate 10% on 3500, that means 350 rupees. So the net total here refers to 3850, which is the total including the gross and the taxes avoided to it, probably that means allotted to that part. And now the last transaction or the last detail also referred that there has been a payment made in cash. So we'll select that part, but before that we'll note down all the options there. Hence, we have corrected that option. That means the transaction was completed using cash. Hence, this brings us to the closure of how a receipt is supposed to be made. I hope this illustration got you a lot of understanding about how a specific receipt is supposed to be made and how it is supposed to be closed. Just to note down certain points, you have to be very thorough about what has been mentioned here. That means in the question, the number of transactions, accordingly, you have to prepare the format. Also, make sure that the end format will also include all these details. That means subtotal, taxes, and net total, along with the payment options. That means whether it has been paid via cash, whether it has been paid via debit or credit card, whether it has been issued or paid via a check, or whether there has been a bank transfer. Whenever all these transactions are mentioned, so accordingly the upper part will be varying. That means the transaction details and the specific details should be a part of one specific format itself. There should be no extension down there. And before you make the sales receipt or probably any kind of receipt, make sure what kind of receipt it is. Now here there is a sale transaction, hence it has been mentioned down there as sales receipt. And the stationery store shop or the details will be mentioned here, where the stationery store amount or probably the details have been mentioned. Now the question never referred about the store name, hence we have just mentioned it as stationery store and the date has been mentioned down there. So all these details are very important whenever you are making a receipt. That will give you the details about, or that will give you the specifications of to how a receipt is supposed to be prepared. So I hope this video was very clear about how the specific receipt is made and what specific means, or probably specifically what receipts means. It is an acknowledgement which states that there has been a receipt or there is an acknowledgement of the payment made by the purchaser or by the seller, which confirms that the payment has been received from the specific purchaser. Hence, when we talk about receipts, all these details are very important. So, thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ekeeda and keep subscribing to Ekeeda.